nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, explosion in a school in Kotangora, Niger State leaves one student and a female suicide bomber dead. Senate invites service chiefs over attack in Yobe School, demand an inventory of military hardware used in the fight against insurgency. Joint Health Workers Union to down tools tomorrow as lecturers of the University of Lagos protest alleged high-handedness of the school management. And the World Health Organization says the number of Ebola deaths has risen beyond 5,000. On business news tonight, after a long wait, the federal government unveils the commemorative 100 Naira note.
In the sports news, the Super Eagles assure football fans of victory in the Nations Cup qualifier against the Red Devils of Congo.
We'll begin tonight with security matters. A blast today occurred in north-central Nigeria, this time in Kotangora, Niger State, when a female suicide bomber detonated an explosive device she had on her at the Federal College of Education Technical in Kotangora, Niger State. Although it was initially thought that the suicide bomber was the only one killed in the blast, it was later discovered that a 200-level student of the college also died in the incident. 4 other people were injured. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but it is believed that the terrorist group Boko Haram was behind it. The group has been the mastermind of numerous attacks in northern Nigeria. Meanwhile, the school has been shut down until November 24th. This attack comes barely 2 days after a suicide bomber who disguised as a student infiltrated the assembly ground of Senior Science Secondary School in Potiskum, Yobe State, and set off a bomb, killing 35 people. Now, staying with the renewed terror attacks on schools in the north, the Senate has questioned the military's prosecution of the war against insurgency and has indicated they're dissatisfied with the military's efforts so far. For this reason, the Senate Committee on Defense has invited the service chiefs over Monday's bomb blast at the Government Senior Science College in Potiskum, Yobe State. The chairman of the committee, Senator George Sikibo, says the service chiefs are expected to give the committee an inventory of the military hardware procured to fight the insurgents. In the meantime, the Senate President, David Mark, says the government needs to declare total war on Boko Haram. Our correspondent, Linda Akigbe, reports.
Gloom, misery, and palpable fear looms over Potiskum 3 days after dozens of children were killed. The children were killed in a bomb blast at the Government Technical Science College in Potiskum, Yobe State. No one has claimed responsibility for the blast. Some of the children have already been buried, leaving loved ones trying to understand why the children became victims of a senseless act. The government has offered no answers, but Senate President David Mark said the government needs to declare total war on Boko Haram.
Clearly, Boko Haram has declared war on this country, and we must fight this war with all the resources at our disposal. There is no half measure in it. It's not a matter of state of emergency anymore. It is a total war, and we must bring all our war resources to bear on Boko Haram.
The Chairman, Senate Committee on Defense and Army, says the committee has invited service chiefs to appear before it to explain why senseless killings continue in states under emergency rule.
One of the issues we want to have tomorrow in the meeting is to have an inventory, actually, of what they have on ground. Because we want to be sure that we have competent equipment and then the manpower to handle them. Tomorrow we want to be sure of all that one. Now, we also want to know, how did these insurgents get the equipment? Is it the one they take from our fighting forces?
Senator Sekina also said the Senate is worried that insurgents are targeting schools in the north.
But what you may suggest is to put armed men, soldiers, in all the schools in the northeast. Is it feasible? Do we have that number of military men that can man all the schools? There is no way federal government can keep soldiers in all the schools of the country, or even in the northeast.
In less than a month, the extension of emergency rule would expire in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states. It's not clear at the moment if President Jonathan would ask for a further extension of the emergency rule. What is obvious is that despite the state of emergency in the three northeastern states, killings, bombings, and terrorist activities have showed no signs of abating. Linda Kibi, Channels Television News.
From security to industrial action, there appears to be no end in sight to the crisis in the health sector, as the Joint Health Workers Association has threatened to down tools tomorrow. They're demanding the implementation of agreements reached between the union and the government 2 months ago. According to the chairman of the union, Dr. Wahab Ayuba, the federal government has failed to implement court rulings and agreements over harmonization of salaries. Part of their grievance also centers on issues of promotion and the imposition of consultants in teaching hospitals, whom they claim now usurp administrative roles in the hospital.
Precisely on the 9th of October, we had a meeting with the government team, and we are privileged in that meeting to have the Secretary to the Government of the Federation presiding, and all other key ministries, Labour, Health, and all other key ministries where those issues were attended to. And there was a firm commitment that we should give government 2 weeks extension to the end of October for them to consult and come out with a definitive action plan of how to implement all outstanding issues. Sadly, when we resumed on the 6th of November, it was the same rhetoric. We still need more time. This issue had been on ground for the past 3 years. After the pronouncement of the National Industrial Court, no action had been taken. Yes, there is a commitment that it will be implemented, but when? Because when we have such pronouncement, we thought that those issues are supposed to have timeline of implementation.
Chairman of the Joint Health Workers Association, Dr. Wahab Ayuba. Now, more industrial action now is for the first time in history of Unilag. Lecturers in the school have staged a rally to express their grievance against the school's management. They say they're being treated as second-class citizens and as such are not given due benefits by the school's authority. Our correspondent, Chris Lems, has more on this.
The drums are out and the players play their heart out, but there is no one to dance because these are not times for celebration for these lecturers of Unilag. It's a first in the school's history for members of ASU to tread the path of staging a rally as a means of expressing their frustration at the hands of the school authority.
They say they are promoting you, and then you as an individual will forfeit, all these emoluments and perks that goes with the office over the years. Apart from that, our colleagues who are on the pre-AG program have not been promoted for up to 7-8 years.
They crisscross the university campus in an orderly manner to press on their demands, an action they term a warning shot, which if ignored any further could lead to a shutdown of the system.
We hardly complain about the situation. We've been for a very long time engaging the administration to take care of this issue, but it's getting out of hand. It's obvious nothing is being done, and so today we have come out in our hundreds to call attention to this plight and call for urgent resolution of them, because invariably if nothing is done, we might be forced to go on complete, total and indefinite strike action, and that is an option we don't want to take, and that's why we have gone on this sensitization rally.
This action seems to have the backing of other unions in the institution. Even some of the students align with the cause. However, a few others wonder what might be their fate if the lecturers make good their threats.
The last strike we heard, we've not fully recovered from it, and now this is another one again. So I think the management should do something about it.
Going on another strike will actually prolong our stay in this school, because I'm supposed to graduate by next year, and prolonging it is going to actually change a lot of plans for us and everybody. So I don't think it's a good idea at all.
Efforts to reach the school's management proved abortive, as the VC was said to be away, while the DVC said he couldn't speak. Before the battle line is drawn, there appears to still be room for members of this ivory tower to tread the path of common sense and engage in dialogue. Chris Illems, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Governor Adams Oshiomhole celebrates 6 years in office. He says his administration has changed Edo State for good. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.